maybe my views on climate change and oil and gas, because I think I'm probably different from what most people would assume, because my views are actually pretty, I think, moderate in this regard, which is that I don't think we should vilify the oil and gas industry and the people that have worked very hard in those industries to provide the necessary energy to support the economy. And if we were to stop using oil and gas right now,
don't be mean to oil workers.
And the economy would collapse.
The discourse.
So it's I don't think it's right to sort of vilify the oil and gas industry, and the world has a certain demand for oil and gas, and it's probably better if the United States provides that than some other countries. Sure. And it would help with prosperity.
Tesla's loving this, by the way.
And at the same time, obviously, my view is like we do over time want to move to a sustainable energy economy, because eventually you do run out of. You run out of oil and gas. It's not there for. It's not infinite.
Trump might think it's infinite.
There is some risk. I think it's not. The risk is not as high as a lot of people say it is with respect to global warming. But I think if you just keep increasing the parts per million in the atmosphere long enough, eventually it actually simply gets uncomfortable to breathe. People don't realize this.
People don't realize climate change. He's like soft pitching the concept of climate change.
And nausea. And so we're now in the sort of 400.
No one's
range.
Talking about
we're
this.
We're adding, I think, about roughly 2 parts per million per year. So I mean, it still gives
what is Trump's response going to be? I'm genuinely curious.
We still have quite a bit of time.
Just lower the.
We don't need to rush, and we don't
no
need to,
rush.
Stop farmers from farming, or
stop farmers from farming,
people from having steaks, or basic stuff like that. Like you can leave the farmers alone.
I agree. How crazy is that? Where
it's like he could see Trump's face falling, and Elon had to walk it back and be like, we only have to do anything in 100 years.
Lead from us. I do say, though, I've heard in terms of the fossil fuel, because even to create your electric car and create the electricity needed for the electric car, fossil fuel is what really creates that at the generating plants. And, so
we have other ways of generating electricity
at this moment. I mean, someday you might be able to, but I do hear we have anywhere from 100 to 500 years left. Much of it hasn't even been found yet.
It's fine, guys. We're all going to die.
I got Anwar,
but we were anyway, right?
Approved. Ronald Reagan couldn't do it. Nobody could do it. Everybody tried. Nobody could do it. I got it approved. The first thing that Biden did was unimprove it, to get rid of it. He ended it. His secretary went in and she ended it. And what a disgrace. That's Anwar. That's bigger, or they think it could be bigger than Saudi Arabia in Alaska. Could be bigger than Saudi Arabia. But they went in and they terminated it. And I'll get it going very quickly, because not only is it big for Alaska, I mean, you talk about economic development, that for the United States, I mean, that is, they say bigger than Saudi Arabia or the same size, and pure, really good stuff. And, they end it. So I think we have, perhaps hundreds of years left. Nobody really knows. But during that time, something will come around that will be very good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, my estimate would be, a little more aggressive than that, but it's not the sort of like we're gonna die in 5 years stuff. That's obviously BS.
He's such a pussy. He has to soft sell everything. Sort of every disagreement, he's like, but I'm not like a Democrat or anything.
You get sort of 2 or 3 parts per million every year of CO2. I mean, I think
Trump doesn't know what parts per million is. He doesn't know what CO2 is.
If you start going from 2 or 3 to say 5, and then there may be some situations where you get just a step change increase in the CO2, and I think we don't want to get too close to 1,000 ppm, because like that's
1,000
makes it uncomfortable to breathe.
We don't want the air to be literally just entirely lead.
That's like
we have to stop it sometime before the air becomes opaque with
that's actually
fucking
headaches and stuff. So
combustible.
Even without global warming, it's not comfortable to live. So we don't want to get too close to that. But I mean, I think we want to just move over, and if I don't know, 50 to 100 years from now, we're
this giant he literally won't.
We're I don't know, mostly sustainable, I think that'll probably be okay.
He won't even let Trump,
so
he won't let them
like
disagree.
The house is on fire immediately, but I think it is something we need to move towards.
See, he can't. He's every constant the
balance,
caveats.
It's probably better to move there faster than slower, but like I said, without vilifying the oil and gas industry.
Oh my God!
And without causing
caveat. Walk back. Please don't get mad at me. Please don't get mad at me. Please don't get mad at me.
You know, but people can still have a stake, and they can still drive gasoline cars, and it's okay. It's like
oh my God!
I don't think we should vilify people for it, but I think we should just generally
say it like 4 more times.
Of sustainability.
This is the most talkative he's been, and it's to not get into a disagreement.
Is going to be a majority of Earth's energy generation in the future, and it's certainly trending that way. And so you get the solar power, combine that with batteries, so because obviously the sun doesn't shine at night, and then you use that to charge the electric cars, and you have a long-term sustainable solution. And that's what Tesla's trying to move things towards, and I think we've made a lot of progress in that regard. But when you look at our cars, we don't believe that environmentalism, that caring about the environment should mean that you have to suffer.
You don't have to not have stakes. The very real thing
they drive well,
that AOC wants.
Sexy. I mean, they're cool. In fact, literally,
God.
The sexy joke, Model S, Model 3, Model X, and Y spells out sexy. It's probably the most expensive joke out there. But I don't know, I like cheesy humor, So, but I'm a big fan of let's have an inspiring future, and let's work towards a better future.
This is so great, genuinely sickeningly embarrassing.
Right. I'm okay. It's very interesting.
I'm okay.
You use the word global warming, and today they use the word climate change because, you have some places that go up and stuff. So they were getting themselves in a little trouble with the word global warming because not every place is warming. Some places are
Donald
going
Trump is a complete climate change denier, so he's not going to buy even this.
I'm waiting for you to come up with solar panels on the roofs of your cars and on the trunks of the cars. And it just seems like something that at some point you will come up with. I'm sure you'll be the first. But it would seem that a solar panel on the roofs, on flat surfaces, on certain surfaces might be good.
Yeah.
At least in certain areas of the country where you have the world, where you have the sun. But I would think, and I have no idea because that's not my world, but I would think that this would be something that would be interesting. But
or
the one thing that
we
I don't
put
understand
solar
is
panels
that
in big empty areas,
global warming,
and then fill a battery,
climate change, but they never talk
and then you
about
charge your car
warming
at a port.
And to me, that's an immediate problem.
Fed by a power plant.
Because you have, as I said, 5 countries where you have major nuclear, and probably some others are getting there, and that's very dangerous. That's where you need a strong American president, because you don't want to have this proliferation. But you have 5 countries and getting more.
Insane how boring this is. I was gaining viewers up until they actually started talking, and since then it's just been a decline.
They're way lower.
All the
Russia
anticipation,
and us are number 1,
nothing.
And, we're sort of
literally,
tied.
I have
And
gained
China's
no
far
view. It's
behind,
only a
but they're
loss since they
developing at a
started
level
talking.
that, you're not surprised to hear very fast. They'll end up catching up, maybe even surpassing. But to me, the biggest problem is not climate change. It's not, and everything's a problem, but it's degrees. To me, the big problem is the nuclear power. The power of nuclear is so great. And when I talk about I'll prevent World War III, I will. But the truth is that you have to, because this is no longer army tanks going back and forth and shooting at each other. This is a level of destruction and power that nobody's ever seen before.
Yeah, and actually, there's the bad side of nuclear, which is a nuclear war, very bad side. But there's also, I think, nuclear electricity generation is underrated.
You're right.
And it's actually, people have this fear of nuclear electricity generation, but it's actually one of the safest forms of electricity generation. It's just a huge misunderstanding.
Are we about to unironically outflank some elements of the left?
At the injuries and deaths, caused by, say, I'm not going to try to pick on coal mining, but just any kind of mining operation. And there's a certain number of injuries and deaths per year. And you compare that to nuclear. Nuclear is actually way better. So it's underrated as an electricity source, and I think it's something that's worth reconsidering. But there's so much regulation that people can't get it done. So that,
maybe they'll have to change the name. The name is just—it's a rough name. There are some areas
it's rough
when you see what happened in
bad branding.
Right,
The
we'll have to
branding's rough.
rebrand it. We'll have to give it a good name. We'll name it after you or something. No, it has a branding problem. When you see what happened,
It does have a branding problem.
When you see what happened in Japan, where they say you won't be able to go on the land for about 3,000 years. Did you ever see that? And in Russia, where they had the problem, where they, there's a lot of bad things happened, and they have a problem. And they say that in 2,000 years, people will start to occupy the land again. You realize it's
this is
bad.
like,
but there's
cognitively devastating.
It's actually not that bad. So like after Fukushima happened in Japan, like people were asking me in California, are we worried about like a nuclear cloud coming from Japan? I'm like, no, that's crazy. It's not even dangerous in Fukushima. I actually flew there and ate locally grown vegetables on TV to prove it. And I donated a solar water treatment, a solar powered system for a water treatment plant. And
but you haven't been feeling so well lately, and I'm worried about it.
No, but I mean,
I'm only kidding.
It's fine, It's like Hiroshima and Nagasaki were bombed, but now they're like full cities again. So it's really not something that
That's great.
So it's
That's
not as scary as people think, basically.
Yeah.
But let's see. I mean, are there some other topics we should touch on?
The only time Elon looked like he was going to push back, which was on energy and climate stuff, but he made so many like middling caveat-filled statements on the subject that it seems like he didn't want to disagree under any circumstances.